appreciate it. Also, make sure to visit our blog, our Instagram, our Twitter. We add great and powerful information on a regular basis, so make sure you check that out. Today, I want to talk about, a couple of concepts, it's all about you feeling empowered, you feeling in control of your life, because you are in control of your life. You have the power to make your life however you want it to be. And you have been in control and you have had the power your whole life. It's not until now that you're beginning to understand how that power works, how that control works. I mean, you could be running a business, right? You could be running a business. And the limits are limitless. There is no limits. And you could be running that business for years. And you could struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle until one day you realize one of two things. You learn the business and you start making moves differently, and then the business flourish. The control, you have it. It's there. You just are not aware of it. It's things that you have. It's really not things you have to do, but things that you have to release. Just like in business, you could have a business, you could struggle for so many years until you finally click. It clicks. You know how to work the business now. Now your business flourish. But before, maybe your business is, you had 2-3 businesses and they failed. The fourth one hit. It just takes that knowledge. It's like a car. The same thing. You have the control. You have the power to go anywhere. At 100, times the speed of walking. You have the power there. But if you don't know how to work it, it could just be sitting there and really not do anything. A computer has so many benefits. But if you don't know how to work it, if you don't learn how to use it, that power can just be there. And it's like it's not being used. And there's no right or wrong whether it's used or not correctly. But the truth is that you have been using this. You have been using your power. If you're not at a point where you want to be in life, you've been using it in a negative way. Not in a way that you don't want. So that's the whole point of the Ulosophy Motivation volumes. Volume 1, Volume 2, now this is Volume 3. And it's all about being in control of your life, realizing you have the power by gaining this data, this information that is very rare in the way it's being explained, being taught to you. I want you to pretend that you have a genie, and that genie will grant you any wish that you want, no matter what it is. And that genie is at your disposal, and unlike myths, you don't get 3 wishes, you get unlimited wishes. And that genie will grant you any wish you desire. What is that genie that will grant you every wish? Who is that genie? The genie is you. Or you could say your brain or your mind, because remember, your thoughts are frequencies being transmitted out into the universe, out into God, whatever you want to call it, the higher being. And those thoughts are their frequencies being put out of your brain, out into the universe, and the universe brings that to you. But it's really not the thoughts, it's the feeling that the thoughts create. That is why, as I've explained before, it's really your feelings. And this genie will grant you any wish. You can create any thought that you want, and that thought will create a feeling. You have that power, and that's the request that you send out into the universe. So that genie, you ask that genie to put out that frequency. You, your brain or your mind, put out that frequency, and that frequency will come back to you. You are that genie. You have a genie at your disposal that will grant you any wish you want, and unlimited wishes. This is why you have people who succeed very much in life and people who just don't. We talk about, in this universe, there's laws, right? You could say there's laws. There's laws. There's the law of gravity. The law of gravity says what goes up must come down. If you get on top of this complex and you jump off the roof, I don't care what your belief is or how indestructible you think you are, you're going down, because we live in a physical world, and this physical world has laws. It has laws. The law of gravity is one. But then there are some laws that are senior to other laws in this universe. See, this universe is a universe of laws. It has laws. But there are laws that are senior to other laws. As I explained, one of the laws is the law of gravity, right? What goes up must come down. But then you look up in the sky and you see an airplane flying, or you see a bird flying. And you think to yourself, okay, well, I thought the law of gravity was, what goes up must come down. It was a law. Well, there are senior laws to other laws. You see the bird, you see the plane, they're using a much more powerful law that supersedes the law of gravity, which is called the law of lift. They're using the law of lift. The law of lift supersedes the law of gravity. In this universe, there are laws. There are laws. But there are some laws that are senior to other laws. The example was the law of lift is senior to the law of gravity, right? I want you to understand that. I want you to just keep that in mind. Just chew on it. It goes much deeper, but I want to give you, like I mentioned, tidbits of information as we go on. As we go on in the volumes, you'll get more and more information. But just think about that. Meditate on that. Meditate on that. There are some laws that are senior to other laws. Good example is the law of gravity. The law of lift supersedes the law of gravity. So no matter, just think about it, meditate on it. Think about it, no matter what you go through, no matter where you think you are in life, no matter what you think the law is. Oh, well, society says that I must have a degree for me to succeed in life financially. Or, the law is that, I must be this perfect being for me to have a cherished and wonderful, prosperous marriage. I mean, the law says that I must do good to get good, right? Think about that. Do good to get good. That's been the law, right, throughout history. That's been like the religious thing. Do good to get good. And think about it. Don't that seem like you do good to get good? You don't do. It doesn't say. It's not about do good and because you want to do good. It's do good to get good. So we have turned into a society that believes that doing good is you get good. So when we make mistakes, imagine if we already feel condemned because we're not doing the good things. Imagine when we do a bad thing. You think that's the type of life God wants us to live? Do good because you want to do good, not because you have to. See, the law says you do good to get good. Remember, there are some laws that are senior to other laws. There are laws in this universe. And really, like I mentioned, you create your own reality. You create your own universe. You don't control the universe. You don't control the world. You control your world. You control your universe. And you call the rules. So there are laws in this universe. There are all types of laws. And you choose which laws apply to your world. So don't think that whatever laws you think are in your life, whatever things you feel like you have to make life work, are just it. Know that for now, I just want you to know that there are laws similar to other laws. And I'll give you an example. The law of life supersedes the law of gravity. You know, one movie that I would suggest all of you guys watch, and not just watch once, but watch, several other times. And it's a movie that will increase your belief that this works, and will give you the scientific. Those that go a lot by facts, they'll give you the scientific evidence of what I'm talking about is true. How the brain is a transmitter and a receiver of frequency, and how those frequencies affect physical matter, how those frequencies at your brain affect physical matter. That movie is called What the Bleep Do We Know? What the Bleep Do We Know? It came out in the 2000s, early 2000s, I think, maybe 2005, around there, probably. It's a good movie. I would suggest you guys watch it. There's an experiment they did do, and this experiment, it consists of a substance that was tested that shows that your thoughts affect physical matter, and that substance is water. A scientist basically had two jars, let's say, per se, had two jars filled with water. And on one jar, he wrote and on the jar, or taped a piece of paper to it, and he wrote these positive messages like, I love you, you're awesome, you're beautiful, positive things like that. And on the other jar, he wrote negative things like, you're ugly, I want to kill you, and this and that. He had these two jars. And he did this he left it like that for several days, and then he freezed the water. And he brought the water out, and through a microscope, on the microscopic level, on a molecular level, he saw, and he tested the water before this, just for you to know. Before he wrote these messages, he freezed the water, and he saw it on a molecular level, and he saw how the crystallization of the water looked. He unfroze the water, then he put his messages on it, and then he froze it again, and then he saw the microscopic level. And he saw that the positive, the jar that had the positive message had had this beautiful crystallization figures. It looked beautiful. And to his surprise, he looked at the one with the negative messages, and it looked all ugly, all cracked. It even changed color on a microscopic level, on a molecular level. And he did this over and over again, and it always came down to be the same. He did it in different ways. He didn't freeze the water. He froze water. He did it several ways, and it still came out the same. The positive one positive jar, the jar with water that had positive messages on it, you know, had the beautiful crystallization, unlike the negative one, which is, here's the picture of the water before the messages, and here's the results after the messages. I mean, it gives you the scientific evidence there, and it really points out, and it really comes down to this, that everything in the universe, everything in this world, everything, everywhere, everything is energy vibrating at a different frequency. Everything is energy, but it's just vibrating at a different frequency. Your energy, the computer's energy, the video's energy, the TV's energy, the water's energy, your pet is energy, I'm energy, my organs are energy, your organs are energy, the phone, everything, moon rocks, the universe, everything, the stars, everything is made of energy. But the reason it looks different is because it's vibrating at a different frequency. The frequencies are different. So that is why there's a piece of paper and then there's this table. It's all energy. It's energy. But it's just vibrating at a different frequency. That is why it feels solid. It looks solid. It's vibrating at a different frequency. This paper. The air around us is energy. It's just vibrating at a different frequency. And that's what I want you to start looking at the world as energy, just vibrating at different frequencies. That is why you have the chair from the sofa, the door from the grass, and so on and on. Everything is energy, just vibrating at a different frequency. And that's really what it is. You know, and as I said before, the brain is a transmitter and a receiver of frequency. The brain is a transmitter and a receiver of frequency. When we transmit frequencies from our brain, which happens when we think a thought, when we have a feeling, understand that it's picked up by other brains and affects physical matter. As I talked about in the last volume, I've talked about how, you know, we all had this. We meet somebody and we say, man, you know, that person feels good to me. You know, that's it. He's a real down-to-earth person. I like that person. You just make this huge judgment on a person by a 1, 2, 3, 5 minute conversation, and you just feel it. You feel like, man, I like him. I like her. But the same thing happens on the opposite side. Like, you spend 2, 3, 5 minutes with a person, and say, you know, I don't know about that person. Something about them I don't like. I just don't like them. We all had that. Why is that? Think about it. Why is that? Your brain is a transmitter and a receiver of frequency. Just like you transmit, you receive frequency. You feel it. You feel it. That is why it's about feelings. It's about feelings. It's not really about thoughts. It's not really about thinking. It's about feeling. Feeling is the magic. Your brain is a transmitter and a receiver of frequency. When we transmit these frequencies, it's picked up by other brains, so other people can feel that off you. It just depends how sensitive they are. You know, some people are more sensitive than others. Doesn't mean that's as far as they can go. No, they can become more sensitive. That's with this information, you will become more sensitive. You will feel more. And, you know, many people, you know, call this almost like a sidekick or whatever, but it's really not. It's really just the way it works. You feel it. You feel. So remember, it is picked up by other brains. The energy, the frequencies you put on your brain are picked up by other brains. And it affects physical matter. Just like the example in the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know, with the water. It affects physical matter. And this test has, you know, it has been proven that your frequencies, your thoughts affect physical matter. They've done this experiments with gold, with wine, with a glass of wine, a book, and the same thing on the molecular level. It changes. You have power beyond your belief. Believe me. Those frequencies travel instantaneously. As I mentioned, your brain, when you think a thought, let's say you want a certain car, you throw that frequency out of your brain into the universe, and it calls forward to you that frequency. And the more often that you think about it or you feel it, the faster it'll come. So when you think a thought, it travels all around the universe instantly. The universe picks it up instantly, and that whatever you're calling forward picks it up instantly, and it starts moving towards you. It starts moving towards you instantaneously. As I mentioned, I've given the example. This is how faith healing works. A person has a tumor, goes to a faith healing, and then, although, I'm sure, some other instances may not be true, maybe false or whatever, but there are instances where people are at a certain state, unhealthy stage, and they go to a faith healer, and then they magically can walk now, or their pain is gone. Well, it's because, remember, the frequencies you put out of your brain travel instantaneously. So the universe picks it up. That's God picks it up. It's like a miracle. Like, it can happen that fast. And it has the same intensity, no matter the distance. So the frequency you put out of your brain when you think a thought, you have a feeling, goes all across the universe, and it reaches all the universe in an instant. And unlike radio transmissions, where the longer it goes, the more power it loses, the more intensity it loses, your frequencies from your brain do not. They do not lose intensity. They're the same. They have the same power all over the universe at that instant. This is how miracles happen. You are powerful beyond your belief. Beyond your belief. As I talked about laws, there are laws in this universe, and just like there's laws in this universe, there are other laws that are similar to other laws. And the truth of the matter is that all physical laws, and really that's what they are, they're physical. These things we call laws are really just like physical laws. There's really nothing that can hold you back. God never, His plan is never to put stoppages on your blockages. He wants to set you free. So all physical laws, whatever laws you think there exists, even the physical laws like the law of gravity, everything, it's really just agreements that you have made. I'm not gonna go into this too deep. I don't want your brain to start to melt. But all physical laws are really just agreements. They're agreements. They're things that you have agreed to. So if you think that you need a degree for you to be a successful businessman, if you need a business degree to be a successful businessman, that's a law that applies to you because you believe it. If you believe that you have to come from a good family and be like this perfect being for you to have a prosperous marriage and for your kids to prosper in life and become great moral citizens, if that's the law that applies to you, then it applies to you. There are agreements that you make. You don't have to agree with them. See, that's the whole point. You don't have to agree with them. You agree with whatever you want to agree. God breathed His life into you. You have the power of God. You are sons and daughters of the Most High. How can you ever, how dare you feel fear in life? How dare you feel disempowered? How? How? Because of the agreements you've made. You've made agreements throughout your life that have stopped you. That ends now. We're breaking that cycle. We're breaking that curse. We're breaking that. We're turning it apart because it doesn't exist. You are higher. In Christianity, for example, it talks about as Jesus is, so are you in this world. So Jesus is at the right hand side of God. He's conquered death. He's this perfect being. God sees him as this beautiful being and loves him to. You're at that same position because you are in Christ. You are righteous. You are perfect. You are deserving of everything and anything you want. You know. It's not about all these laws that you have to keep for God to love you. God loves you either way. And that's the beautifulness of life. And I feel that is why we have a lot of negative also in life from people. People are addicted to, certain things that deep benefits their life. People do wrong things. They in marriages, marriages fail. In their job, they don't prosper. They have financial problems. I think it's because of all the pressure they feel. Like they feel they have to do good to get good. That's the basic law of the world, right? You do good to get good, and if you do bad, you get bad. Do you think that's the life worth? What kind of life is that? Where you have to do good to get good. You have to do good to make God love you. No, that's like robbing God out of his love. That's like you trying to control the Most High, the creator of the universe, that higher intelligence, that high intelligence that is surpasses, understanding. It's like you're manipulating, like you feel like you can manipulate it unconsciously. Think about it. If you do good, you get good. We're not perfect, man. We are not perfect, and see that's where the magic happens. When you lose that ego, when you lose that pride, when you feel like it's not me. I am deserving of all things. I am perfect. It's not my current self. This self is not. I'm higher than that. And all my sins are forgiven. I'm perfect. I deserve good. Unmerited favor. Grace. Undeserved favor. If you look through the biblical scriptures, you have people like Abraham. You have people like Joseph. You have people like David. These people committed, sins. Abraham lied. Abraham made his wife lie to the Egyptians. I believe it was the Egyptians. And he told his wife to tell the Egyptians that she was his sister. Lied to them. So they wouldn't kill him for his wife. Yet God calls him my friend. Abraham was my friend and a prophet. This man lied, not once, but twice. And yet God calls him my friend. Right? Joseph in the Bible, he came from a good family, but his brothers disowned him. And it got to the point that they disowned him so much that he ended up being a slave. He ended up being naked. In those times when you would purchase a slave, they would have the slaves displayed naked, because you had to check to see if they had any skin disease, because leprosy was a big thing back then. You didn't want nobody to come into your house with a skin disease, right, or any disease. So the slave will be posted naked, so you could observe him. Has no disease or anything. Here's Joseph, naked. And the Bible says that Joseph had favor. No matter what, no matter, although he was a slave, he was naked then, he had favor. He was a slave. He was chosen by an Egyptian to be a slave, and he outranked every other slave, so he became like the top slave. And then the Egyptian's wife wanted to sleep with Joseph, but Joseph denied, and the wife had Joseph thrown in jail, lied that he tried to rape her, and thrown him in jail. And even then, he became the top. He became a top person there, that the ruler of Egypt, called upon Joseph, or it ended up that Joseph went to the Egyptian, the ruler of Egypt. And to make a long story short, Joseph became the ruler, not the ruler, but yeah, the ruler of Egypt. He had control over Egypt. Pharaoh gave him that control, to control over Egypt. That's how much favor God had upon Joseph. David, right? David, the one who killed Goliath, he had favor upon him. He did adultery. He lusted for a woman who was married, and he had the man killed. This is David, right? The David and Goliath story. This is David. He lusted over a woman, and the woman was married, and he had the man killed. He had the man killed. And then had a kid with this woman, Jed. God said, David is a man after my own heart. David shall be blessed. And David was blessed beyond belief. If you think that this world is a world of do good and get good, then you're going to have a miserable existence. I'm sorry. Really. You will get your breaks because of your belief that you feel you're doing good. But when you feel like you have to do it, why? Why would you feel like you have to do it? I don't want somebody to feel like they have to love me. I want somebody to love me because they want to love me. The same thing in life. The same thing in life. All these laws that you feel that are in this world, they're just agreements. The truth is that you are good. By nature, you are good. You are not meant to be bad. Because that's not the nature of it. That is why when we commit, when we fall short, which we all do and we all will, when we fall short, we feel bad. Think about it. If that doesn't show how good you are, how good your core is, then I don't know what will. The most senior law which supersedes every physical law that is out there, we could say that is the law of attraction. Because the law of attraction says whatever you think, you will receive. Whatever you ask for will be given to you. That's a biblical scripture. Whatever your beliefs, that supersedes every other law out there, no matter what it is. I don't care what it is. It's right here. The law of attraction. Whatever you think about, most of the time you become. No matter where you are in life, no matter how broken your marriage may be, no matter how unhealthy you may be, no matter whatever problem you may have or negative situation you may have, the most senior law which supersedes every physical law is the law of attraction. This supersedes everything. This is why people become millionaires and reach financial heights without a degree. This is why people have prosperous marriages, even though they did so much bad in their life. This is why, There's times you see people succeeding, you're like, why are they succeeding? I mean, I'm no different than them. I feel like I have done more good things than them. Why the heck are they succeeding? How are they succeeding so much? Same thing. It's the law. It's whatever you agree upon. Start looking at yourself as righteous, as good, as forgiven, as loved by the Most High, but that energy that surpass understanding, as Jesus said. Find that peace. That peace, that's what God is. Once you find that peace, you found God. And really, it's not finding God, because God is never going nowhere. He's there. Because no matter what, this is a great experience we call life. But you are not this body. I don't want to go too much into it, but there's life beyond this. Like, if you think this is life, I mean, even the biblical scripture says that, you know, Paul, the Apostle Paul says, you know, he was about to be executed. He said, you know, with this death, he will gain. He will gain. If you go to a funeral, they will all Christian or Catholic funeral. If you go to a funeral, the priest or the pastor or whatever will most likely always speak this verse from Paul. It says, you know, as he died, he will not lose, but he will gain more than he can ever understand. Even in the movie Star Wars, remember the movie Star Wars, where Obi-Wan Kenobi is fighting Darth Vader, and Darth Vader said, you know, I'm too powerful. You can't win. I'm too powerful. You can't win. Look at you. You're falling down. And Obi-Wan Kenobi says, no, you have it all wrong. Darth Vader, you can win. You have it all wrong. You can win. You can't win. Because even if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can ever imagine. And that not only goes to life after death, but that goes in this life. Because even if you strike down, and see, that's sometimes the beauty of it, right? Sometimes you go through hell to become more powerful than you can ever imagine. If you look at history, this has been true. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Gandhi was persecuted. Mandela was in jail, was in prison. Jesus was crucified. But what they achieved in this world is just, Jesus changed the world. His teachings changed me. That's really my core Christianity, because I am a born again Christian. I speak it. I try to speak it in different, in a way that it be in general, because there's people out there who have never, you know, who are just broken. They've never had a real decent family. Never had nobody speak to them. They never heard positive. They never heard that they are great. They have never heard that they are powerful, that they can be doing, have anything they want, that they are designed for accomplishment, that they were designed with the seeds of greatness, that were endowed with the seeds of greatness. They never heard that. And that's why I try to keep it in a general form, because you know, I try to keep it in a general form to reach people like that. But the truth is that I have beliefs, and I believe that Christianity, it's really the way to truth. Jesus is my Savior. You know. And I try to keep it in general form, but that's the core. So if you're against Christianity or whatever, if that's not, then I mean, don't listen to me. I'm not the messenger for you. Go get the message from somewhere else. But this is my message. This is the way I will present it. There's nothing that can stop me. from preaching it the way I want to. This is why. And I mentioned, if you don't like the message, if you think I'm speak too much on Christianity or whatnot, then get the message from somewhere else. I'm not the messenger for you. Get the message from somewhere else. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, like, comment on the video. See you guys next time.